If Trump border policy just cut illegal crossings by 99%, why isn't every news outlet in America celebrating? Today on America Unfiltered, Mike Waltz gets canned after leaking military secrets on Signal. IBM drops 150 billion into the United States. Shedeur Sanders free falls into the draft. It's not just because of his game. We'll break down the White House's brutal lawn sign stunt, the list of 100 media hoaxes they just exposed, and why Fauci might face real charges. Plus, Stephen Miller absolutely buries the press right to their faces. All that and much more coming up on today's episode of America Unfiltered with James Paspalides, starting now.
The moment is here. This is our moment.
America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered with James Paspalides. Let's dive right in. Mike Waltz has been fired over SignalGate. This is something that I said should have happened weeks ago. I think someone should have been fired. You can't have a reporter being added to a group chat that involves military talk, things of that nature, and not have anyone get fired. The media was melting down, saying it should have been Peter Hegseth. I don't think it should be at all. They hate Hegseth because of how close he is with Donald Trump, because of all the great things that he brings to our military, all the great things he brings to our government, to our country, to Trump's cabinet. I think he's an excellent pick. Trump reassigned Waltz as UN ambassador and appointed Secretary of State Marco Rubio as interim national security advisor. I think that Stephen Miller should take this position in the long term. Stephen Miller's no-nonsense attitude, the way he handles the media is amazing. Liberals have been melting down about this for a while. This is something I'm not surprised over. I'm glad it has happened. Border crossings are something that liberals have cried about for a long time. Conservatives have been mad at liberals for the way they handled the border under Joe Biden and Kamala's term. And liberals are crying about the way Trump is now handling it, deporting illegals. They kept saying while the election was happening that we need a border bill, we need a border bill. But that was obviously BS, because Trump, without a border bill and with executive action, was able to drop it by over 99%. Since November, there has been 9 illegal border crossings, and they were all exceptions made by the United States government. 9 border crossings compared to the thousands a day. That's an insane drop, a drop of over 99.99%. This is something as a country we could all celebrate. Republicans, conservatives, we all voted for this. We wanted mass deportations. We wanted the border crossings to stop. We wanted fentanyl to stop pouring over our borders. We wanted Tren de Aragua's MS-13s to stop pouring over our borders, unchecked Chinese nationals, and things of this nature. We don't want to create another 9/11 or another terrorist attack in this nation. I'm excited that we're getting the illegal citizens out of this country, removing them, focusing on taxpayer citizens, not letting them flood our public systems, hospitals, our schools, and also Social Security, FEMA dollars, all being wasted on illegal immigration, is now being stopped because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump's administration, along with his strong cabinet, is one of the reasons that we're able to do this. I'm so grateful that we have a president like Donald Trump who has a strong backbone and is willing to put the American taxpayer over illegal aliens. Why should illegal aliens be getting my tax dollars to pay for hotels, SNAP benefits for them? My tax dollars should not be being spent on people in other countries. They need to be spent on American citizens, American industry, American infrastructure. It makes no sense for our tax dollars to be wasted on foreign nations' citizens when they can fix their own countries for the most part. I'm not against U.S. intervention in other countries, but right now we need to fix the problems we have in America before we consider spending our dollars in other countries. Shedeur Sanders slides in the draft. Shedeur Sanders was expected to be a top 10 first-round pick. That's what the media was saying. And a lot of analysts are melting down over this. They're claiming racism. They're claiming a lot of terrible things happen. But Shedeur slid to the 5th round in the draft. This is not crazy uncommon that a player who is hyped up to go early slides. It happens all the time. Geno Smith was one of the bigger names for this. Johnny Manziel also slid a little bit on his draft day. And I'm sure there are a lot of other notable names. Shedeur Sanders sliding has nothing to do with his race. It has to do with his ability to play football compared to other players. It has to do with his media presence and the way he holds himself and the baggage that comes along with him. So I'm going to work backwards here. The baggage that comes along with him is his dad, Deion Sanders, Hall of Fame NFL player, someone I respect greatly. The problem is Deion Sanders is a very loud individual when it comes to the media. NFL teams don't always love that. There might be some who do, but not all NFL teams are going to want that. You have to think that some NFL head coaches are scared that if they bring Shedeur Sanders in, will it be the end of me coaching? Will Deion eventually become the coach of this team to coach his son in the NFL? We all know that's something to look out for. And if I was a coach, it's something I would be thinking about too. And then there's the media side of things. I'm going to play clips for you guys where you're Sanders and Cam, they talk about football, and you could see Cam is just like, no, I don't want to talk about rap. I'm a football player. And that's the difference between a first round number 1 overall pick and someone who slides to the 5th round, is someone who has his head focused where it needs to be and someone who is thinking about a potential rap career. It's a joke that an NFL player is doing that. This was a 500 football player, not even in the SEC. This person would have been a backup quarterback at Alabama to row. I don't understand how this is even a question, why this person slid so far. Once they're sliding past the 3rd, it's a really slippery slope with 4th and 5th. You should be glad he got taken where he did. The look on the faces of all the Browns executives as they made the pick was not happy. I'm guessing this one was an owner's call. We will get more information on that, but I'm going to pop that clip up for you guys right here so you can see Shedeur Sanders.
Perfect time. Come on, bro, let's make a song. Let's drop point, real shit. I play football. Here we go. Football. I play football. You ain't got no hobbies outside of that? Play football. That's the only thing I want people to know me as, football player. Let's search up Cam Wood. You say American football.
In my opinion, that's the difference between a first-round pick, number 1 overall, and someone who slides to the 5th round, like I was saying earlier. Just a clear difference in the mentality of what they want to do, where they want to be. They're doing a workout together for football. One has his mind in the right place, and one absolutely does not. Absolutely embarrassing for Shedeur Sanders. I do hope he recovers. He is a bright young man who does possibly have a bright future in the NFL. I do hope he can get his things together, but from the looks of it right now, he looks to be a bust. I do hope that changes because I hate to see athletic talent just wasted like that for nothing. I want to talk about IBM investing $150 billion in the United States, joining companies like NVIDIA, Apple, and other companies investing billions into the United States. Trump has now secured over $1.5 trillion in investments for the United States. I don't think Joe Biden even did that in his 4 years in office. Trump has done it in 4 months. It's insane the commitment Donald Trump has to growing this country, growing this nation. It's something that as Americans, we can all be extremely proud of. 100 days of hoaxes. This is a crazy thing that the White House has posted. They break down all the biggest media hoaxes that the media has lied to all of us about. They talk about how they said that the NASA astronauts were not stranded. NPR claimed that astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore were not stranded on the International Space Station. This was false. The Biden administration left them stranded. They could have been saved by Elon Musk, but the Biden administration did not want them to for political reasons. The Kilmar Abrego Garcia deportation. The media has continuously portrayed Garcia as an innocent Maryland father unjustly deported. False. This is not true. Garcia is a Salvadorian national with alleged gang affiliations, and the administration has alleged that his deportation was due to overwhelming evidence of his gang ties. Michael Moore's outlandish statement. Filmmaker Michael Moore suggested that deported illegal immigrants might have cured cancer or stopped an asteroid. Again, proven false. The administration highlights the absurdity of this claim, noted that the deported individuals are violent criminals. Muhammad Khalil's deportation. The media has depicted Khalil, a pro-Hamas radical involved in violent protests at Columbia, as an innocent graduate student, when, in fact, an immigration judge ruled that Khalil, not a U.S. citizen, could be deported due to his radical activities supporting terrorist organizations in the United States who want to hurt United States citizens. Supporting terrorist organizations who are currently holding United States citizens hostage is a terrible thing. Peter Navarro and the Five Eyes Alliance. The Financial Times reported that Navarro wanted to remove Canada from the Five Eyes intelligence sharing network. Navarro immediately refuted this claim, labeling it as false. The Associated Press claimed that Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said President Trump is very good friends with Russian President Putin. Gabbard denied making such a statement, and the AP then retracted their claims. Data from the Department of Transportation indicated that more plane crashes have occurred during the first few weeks of Biden's term and not President Trump. Just another lie by the media. It's one of the main reasons I made my show, to point out all the lies the media throws at you. This is something that Matt Walsh talks about a lot, how truth is the most important thing. Anthony Fauci is potentially facing perjury charges. So Anthony Fauci is potentially facing perjury for his testimony about NIH funding of gain of research in Wuhan. This is something that is now being investigated by Pam Bondi, by Tulsi Gabbard. They have independent panels being set up to investigate this. This is something that I think will be found accurate. I bet Fauci is guilty of perjury. We all know there are multiple things he lied about for COVID. This is definitely something that I'm sure they're going to be able to prove in court that he lied about as well. I hope if he is found of perjury that he is convicted. I know Joe Biden tried to pardon him, but it was done with an auto pen, which is something that definitely needs to be considered, and a judge should definitely look into the legality of signing pardons specifically with auto pens. I don't think presidents should be able to use auto pen for anything unless extremely special circumstances. But I don't think special circumstances is pardoning every one of your allies, family members, and friends 15 minutes before the inauguration. It's just a complete joke, complete overstep by Joe Biden and whoever was running the auto pen. Stephen Miller confronting the media in today's White House press briefing. The White House has been doing a bunch of new press briefings. They have had new media press briefings as well. They've always had the new media seat under Donald Trump, where they have someone who usually would not be invited into the press room. In the press room now they have full rooms full of people who usually would not be invited. So not just one seat, but many seats for all people in the new media. This is something that's amazing. And I want to play this clip right here for you guys of Stephen Miller absolutely picking apart the woke media.
Our trade negotiations with China. I'll make another important point on this, which is that there's been many complaints about the fact that there are a lot of products that are sold on Amazon that are actually ripoffs of American products that are then stolen by China, and then they take our IP and they put them into products to try to undersell our manufacturer. So to the extent that we are engaged in labeling issues on Amazon, I would say that would be the most significant one to fix, is making sure we're not undercutting American consumers.
And in one on Abrego Garcia, please, the administration is reportedly inquiring about his return. Is that to check a box for compliance, or does President Trump want him back on U.S. soil, or both?
So, as Secretary Rubio said yesterday in the cabinet meeting, this administration is not going to publicly discuss the inside details of our foreign policy and negotiations with a foreign country. And in particular, we are not going to allow a district court judge to try to become the Secretary of State. Secretary Rubio is the one who, under his leadership and direction at the State Department, is managing the day-to-day relationship with El Salvador. Let's just take a moment, number one, to express our gratitude to El Salvador for agreeing to take some of the most dangerous terrorists off of America's streets and to put them into a safe environment where they cannot continue to engage in acts of terrorism or coordination with the Maduro regime. You may have seen recently an FBI assessment that was unclassified that said that the Maduro regime is using and planning to use trained Aragua terrorists to carry out assassination plots on American soil. Now, very few in this room covered that. I'll let you all ask yourselves why you didn't cover it and why your editors didn't assign that story to you. Something I think you should think about on your own. But this is a earth-shattering piece of news. The Biden administration imported the terrorist army that our own FBI assesses is planning assassination strikes on American soil against critics of the Maduro regime. Those are the terrorists that President Trump is finding and apprehending that our Democrat judges and Democrat activists are trying to keep on U.S. soil. Tren de Aragua has the same legal status as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. MS-13 has the same legal status as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. These are foreign terrorists operating on our soil. And our gratitude to El Salvador for agreeing to take custody of these terrorists is immense. With respect to the case that you mentioned, there's now even been more evidence that has been made public of this person's violent, repeated threats and assaults against his spouse, someone who had repeated, documented human trafficking and human smuggling offenses, somebody that has extensively documented membership in MS-13, a terrorist organization, and of course he had MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. This is a person that was a clear and present danger to the safety of the American people. And it is a sad reflection on the state of our media and many of the outlets represented in this room that you obsessively try to shill for this MS-13 terrorist. Well, no coverage occurred in your papers about any of the Americans that were raped and tortured and murdered by the illegals that Biden was importing into our country. You know, you talk about due process. The Biden administration made the decision to give extensive due process to 2 Tren de Aragua terrorists that were apprehended at the border just a couple years ago. They were 2 gentlemen. They were from Venezuela. They were members of Tren de Aragua. The Biden administration Border Patrol apprehended them and made the decision to provide them with extensive due process, put them onto a program known as supervised release, and put them on ankle monitors so that they could go through a lengthy legal, judicial determination as to whether these legal aliens who had just set foot on U.S. soil might want to live in the United States for the rest of their lives. What was the result of that decision? What was the result of that choice that was made? Those 2 men kidnapped a young girl named Jocelyn Ungary from her family. They beat her. They sexually assaulted her. They tortured her. They stripped her. They murdered her, and they dumped her body. That is what the Biden administration's policy was. Most of your papers never covered her story when it happened. To the extent that you covered it at all, it was because President Trump forced you to cover it by highlighting it repeatedly over and over again. He had to shame you into covering it. And each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you had the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Tren de Aragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, are trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors, and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and raped and murdered. So you're not going to get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who've invaded our...
You gotta love that guy for the Trump administration. No nonsense, gets right to the point, has no problem going right at the media's faces when they come at him. Stephen Miller, props off to you, hats off to you. You are amazing at what you do. Thank you for everything you're doing right now. I'm James Paspalides. This is America Unfiltered, episode 47. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. On January 20th, President Donald Trump signed Executive Order 14172, naming the body of water off of Southwest Florida the Gulf of America. Now we're bringing the Gulf of America right to your door. If you're looking to show your patriotism and rep the Gulf of America, go on madeInswiffle.com to get your Gulf of America gear. Hats for $15, shirts for $20, and koozies are just $5. It's simple, affordable, and made right here in America. MadeInswiffle.com. Get all your Gulf of America gear shipped right to your door anywhere in the USA.